and welcome. I'm Jim.
And I'm Megan. We're going to build a car, but we don't really know what we're doing, do we?
Nope. Now, we've watched lots of car shows, but we've never made a car show, or a car for that matter.
We hope to get some help from the BBC, so we traveled to England and asked if we could borrow a couple of their TV presenters.
Yes, but they called us brutish American idiots, demanded a hot steak, and then punched us in the face.
We thought we might get some American car show people to help us, but then we saw how much trouble the roadkill guys had with big-time TV politics.
Yeah, that, and we don't want the whole screen to be covered up with random people's tweets.
That would give me gas.
And make me feel like a monkey.
So, it's up to us.
Yes, it is. And in this first episode, we're going to talk about what we're building. An Exocet. This is an Exocet. It's a missile made by the French for blowing up ships. This is not what we're building.
Yeah, we have nothing against ships. We're building this, the EXOMOTIVE Exocet. It's a super light, tube-frame chassis, rear-wheel drive kit car.
To build an Exocet, you strip all the guts out of a Mazda Miata, take the body off the motor and subframe assemblies, and then replace the body with what looks like a kid's jungle gym.
When you take the Miata body or tub off, what you're left with is what some people call a roller skate, because it looks like a roller skate, if you remember what those look like. I didn't really.
No idea. But anyway, here's our roller skate next to our Miata. Now, we had a Miata before with some go-fast parts on it, like exhaust, stainless steel brake lines, and suspension, but we'll be moving all those parts to the Exocet and selling the Miata.
Now, most people who build an Exocet buy a donor Miata, strip it down, and sell off any parts they don't need. We elected not to do that because it's a massive pain in the butt to sell all those extra parts.
Yeah, want no part of that. Hey, instead I found a guy locally who runs a small Miata part out and race car prep business and sourced the roller skate without the body from him. All we have to do is prep it for our needs.
And once that's done, we'll take our prepped roller skate, put the Exocet chassis on, tighten up all the bolts, add the wiring, and end up with a lightweight car that we hope will be a lot of fun to drive.
Right, and on the subject of fun to drive, let's talk a little bit about power to weight ratios. It's the power in kilowatts of a car divided by the weight in kilograms, and a larger number is better. Now, we're sorry to use metric units, Republicans, but that's just how it's done in science. Our Exocet, with its tube-frame chassis, will offer us somewhere in the neighborhood of a 30% weight reduction, which means our car should see a power-to-weight ratio of something like 0.13 watts per kilogram. And then there's the Koenigsegg 1-to-1, which has 1,000 kilowatts of power and weighs 1,000 kilograms, giving it a power-to-weight ratio of 1. 1!
But at 0.13, our car should be more or less twice as spirited to drive as a Camry, but only half as insane as the 991 GT3 RS, and barely an eighth as stratospherically mental as the Koenigsegg 1-to-1.
Yeah. But there is another dimension, because you see, vehicles cost money. I'm a novelist, which is almost as lucrative a profession as stamp collecting. I don't have Koenigsegg money, or Porsche money, or even Camry money. What I do have is Exocet money. My plan is to have this car running and driving for less than $15,000, or less than it costs to buy any new car in the US as far as I'm aware.
So, with that in mind, we're inventing a new statistic for cars. Power to weight to dollar, and higher is better.
Take that, Sweden.
And that's not even to talk about consumables. A front brake rotor for the Miata costs $25. The GT3 RS, $1,000. A brake rotor for the Koenigsegg costs Belize. That's right, you have to give them Belize.
Yes, you do. Look, if you want to have fun in a wild-looking car for the least money possible, we don't think you can do any better than the Exocet.
Yeah, so we should probably build it.
You're right, we should. Let's get started.
Now, our very first project is to work on the shifter. As you can see, it's not quite where we want it to be. First of all, it's out of focus. We want to be banging these gears around like Vin Diesel when he shifts down into fourth from fifth, even though he's probably already going as fast as he can. Don't know how that works, but we bought this bushing kit that replaces a bunch of the rubber, including this nylon guy right here, which is hopefully going to make our shifting a whole lot more positive, and we're going to feel like Mario Andretti and Vin Diesel had a baby, which would be amazing. So we start by taking the turret apart. As you can see, the rubber is cracked at the top there. Then we pull the old knob off. Give the knob a good pull. Give the knob a good pull, I said. And then you take off this rubber bit, and out she comes. And as you can see here, there should be a bushing on the end of that metal ball, and it's gone. And you look down into the turret, and there's nothing in there. Now, eagle-eyed viewers will notice that I took apart the screws on the turret, which I didn't need to do. And I'm making another mistake here because I'm telling Meghann it's going to be hard to place this.
Actually, that's kind of good.
Now I'll just pull out the transmission fill plug and get some camera direction from Meghann. Can it see me? Mm-hmm. Can it see what I'm doing?
Seems that you're doing some wrenching thing underneath the transmission.
Some wrenching thing indeed.
Now your elbow's in the way.
Now I'm using the breaker bar and impact socket here because I didn't have a wrench big enough to get that drain plug out. Now that's the gear oil draining out of the transmission, but not out of the shifter turret. There's not a passage from one to the other, so you use one of these, a turkey baster. Just stick her down in your old shifter turret and suck up some gear oil. Now let's see what it looks like. Hopefully it's nice and clear. Nope, that looks awful. It looks like a really cheap soup, or something that might happen to you if you've been eating really cheap soup. Now that we got the old oil out of the transmission, it's time to put the new bushings onto the shifter itself.
So this goes down on this bit, like that.
Oh, come on, give it a real push. There we go. Now with the bushings back on the shifter and ready to party, we can put the shifter back into the turret, the boot back onto the shifter, and get some advice from Meghann on how to start a family.
Oh, it's not so bad.
Okay, these are blind.
Stop that.
It is.
Unfortunately, when we go to clean off the transmission drain plug, the news is not so amusing.
No, that's not good.
What's wrong with it?
There's a big chunk on this magnet, which means there's a big chunk missing somewhere in the transmission.
Oh, that's not good.
That's what I said. You need something to stick down in there. Heard that one before.
Now, I'm a little bit worried about this missing metal from the transmission, but hopefully it won't turn out to be too big of a deal. I mean, we have blown up, rebuilt, and then blown up again transmissions for our Lemons car, so if we have to do that here, we just will. Now, you might have noticed that we haven't yet put any new gear oil into the shifter turret, and we will. Don't worry about it. Now, the next job is to replace the open differential currently in the subframe with a torsion differential unit that we have. It'll improve cornering. If you want to know more about differentials, there are lots of great videos here on YouTube where you can look them up, and it'll be explained to you by engineers instead of some guy. Now, here we're looking at the casing of the torsion differential, which has a marking that means something to someone, but we know that this is a torsion because it's got that little rubber thing right behind the drive shaft flange, and that means it's not an open, it's a torsion. So we're ready to party with this guy. First thing, we'll jack up the rear subframe, we'll pull the axles out of the differential, and then replace the differential in the subframe. Now let me just go ahead and tell you, you're about to see us screw up pretty bad. We had never removed axles from a differential before, didn't really know what we were doing. We had some instruction, but we got it wrong, and we broke some stuff. So here's how we did that. Now, we were told that the way that you get the axles out of the differential is you just pry on them, and they pop right out. You pry from the side, and they pop right out. They did not pop right out. We later learned the technique to do it, which we'll show you, but it took a lot of prying improperly. As you can see, I'm using a Wonder Bar here, and it's just not coming out. It was a massive pain in the butt, I'm not going to lie to you. But and in the process of trying to pull it out, we ended up breaking this axle. And we managed that little feat with this. This is a slide hammer kit that we borrowed from Advance. Do not use this to try to get your axle out of your knuckle. and also don't hit it with the back end of an axe. Now, even though we broke that side, we did eventually get it out. So we put the subframe back on the floor and then disconnected the drive shaft from the differential, as you can see here. Then we used 2 pry bars pushing on either side of the axle and worked together and... Finally, indeed. Just pull the axle out. This one's not broken, thankfully. And we'll uninstall the power plant frame from the differential, flip the subframe over, and pull out the open differential.
All right, the moment. Unbelievable.
Yay!
Here we're torquing the torsion differential into the subframe and reinstalling the power plant frame onto the torsion differential, breaking the camera. And here's where we stand. We've completed the differential swap, and we've fixed the shift bushing, and we've got a pretty good list still to go, but we're going to enjoy ourselves.
In our next episode, we'll be doing more work on prepping our roller skate. And we'll swap some parts over from the old car and try not to break stuff, lose bolts, or go insane.
While we work on that, if you're not already watching the Bad Obsession Motorsports guys build Project Binky, you should check it out. It is great. And unlike us, they actually know what they're doing. We like their show so much that we bought the coffee mug. Shame it only comes in right-hand drive.
Yeah, it's true. And on that bombshell, it is time to end. Thank you very much for watching. Good night.
Night. Let's do it one more time. Just in case.
You stop that.